Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. You're looking at a hole in the wall. So where I live at, the previous renters left apparently in a pretty big hurry and they just ripped their TV off the wall, creating this hole. This is the piece of sheetrock that was in there, and then there were these metal things. So I just took all this stuff apart. What I've done so far is just kind of pressed the wall back into shape because it's, it's very loose and wobbly. I need to do some work on the inside of this here to pull it back together. And then once that's set and dry, then I can do the work to get this piece back into where it belongs and flatten it out. And then I don't know that I can duplicate this texture. I don't know if you can see it really. It's a spray-on knockoff texture. So I'll get as close as I can to this. I promised my landlord. he felt bad. He was like, "There's holes in the wall," and I was like, "Oh, I can fix that." So I'll take you along on the journey, and we'll see if this works, and maybe this will be of help to somebody else who has a similar scenario going on in their lives that they would like to fix. Okay, so there were a couple other holes. This towel holder was here and it was ripped off the wall, so I did this little repair. Toilet tissue holder was over here, and I think somebody used it as a handhold to get off the toilet, and so that was pulled off the wall. So I fixed this, and what I was using to do that was something my landlord gave me to fix the big hole in the wall where the TV was, which is this stuff here. And so I only needed to use a small little portion of it for that hole where the toilet tissue holder was. So I'll be able to use this to do the repair, and let's get started on it. So this mesh part will be plenty big to cover this over. So I'm going to use a small section of this adhesive one on the inside here, and possibly I may use some of my painter's tape to hold this together while the sheetrock compound dries. Okay, so here's the Easy Sand 90 powder, and I just mix some up to a pretty wet consistency. This is the same joint compound I used on my last wall project, and I'll link that video below in case anybody's interested in that. So I'm going to use my small spatula and go up top here and start doing the repair on the inside first. Okay, so I spread some up top to shield that. Let me see if I can get my hand in here. So I put some in the way back, and then I'm pushing this together so it's going to stick. And then, oh boy, this side here, I put some in behind here and just squeezing that together. So this is Easy Sand 90, so it takes about 90 minutes, obviously, for it to dry. So I'm going to just do a little bit more patching and pressing up here to get this part to level out. And I want to leave a little bit of a hollow on this surface so I'll be able to do the decorative stuff later, and it won't be sticking up, beyond the rest of the wall surface. And the landlord's guys repaired the other hole that was in the other room, and I may go back over that. If I can create a good texture on this one, I may sand that one down and do a texture on it too so that it blends in better. Just really sad that these folks, they were desperate to get out of here and just really ripped the crap out of the wall. So then this little piece right here, press back in, and this one here, press that back in, and just smooth out the compound. So, yep. And while I'm at it, while I've got the compound mixed up, there's all these little nail holes, and I've spackled all the holes that I've found already in the rest of the house. So these are the last the last few, couple further down the wall. I don't know what kind of a system this was to, it must have been like a huge TV screen. Anyway, all right, just getting those, and the light's behind me, so the shadow on what I'm working on isn't great. Anyway, all right, so I'll see you all back here in about 90 minutes. All right. So the trees, y'all can see, we just had some really good rain. It's misting out today, and the trees are looking good after everything I just did for them. All new mulch, and added some manure around the outside, and my landlord said he's going to bring me more manure to get these guys situated for the winter. And over here, so while I'm waiting for the sheetrock compound to dry, I thought today's weather is perfect to go ahead and transplant this little aronia shrub. It's a chokecherry my friend Marika gifted me in 2023 before I left North Carolina. And like I say, today's weather is perfect. It's drizzling right now. We got a half-inch of rain last night, so just took this out of the pot and set it in here and gave it a drink of water, and yeah, I'll keep you posted. But good thing to do in between sheetrocking. Okay, so it's still damp, but it's setting up nicely. There's some spacing up in here where I can add some more compound. All this part feels good, so I think I'm ready to prepare the insert and get that set in here. Okay, so I just positioned it in here to see the fit. Now I'm going to mix up the compound, and then I'm going to use that textured thing behind it to help support it from the inside. There's something else, depending on what kind of a hole you're working with. If it's an area where you could actually make like a square cutout, and you have sheetrock, replacement sheetrock of the same thickness, you can actually cut a square hole and then cut the piece of sheetrock that's going to fit in there precisely to the same size. On the inside of the hole, you would lay a strip of wood, so something like like an inch wide and maybe a half-inch thick, like running it on the inside of the wall, and then screwing it to the wall. And then you're going to have to spackle the little holes and stuff where you would put the sheetrock screws in. And then you would be able to put the new piece of sheetrock onto that piece of wood that's attached on the inside of the wall, and it would give you support behind it. But since I had the small piece of sheetrock that was from the hole where the TV was pulled out, and it's not a huge hole. I mean, if you needed to fix something that was, 12 by 12, you definitely want to cut a square and replace it and use a board on the inside to frame it from the back, so you'd have something to screw the new piece of sheetrock into. But that's not the case here. But I just wanted to mention that because it is a technique that sheetrockers use, especially after like plumbing has been done, or some major thing has happened on a wall and you've had to cut out stuff that's been damaged by water in a smaller area, not like a flood, but like burst pipes or something like that. So okay, let me get the sheetrock compound mixed up. Okay, I just mixed up the batch. Now this one I made the consistency a little bit thicker, or not quite as liquid and flowing as the first batch, because I want to press it into the metal. Once the metal is on the inside, I want it to really poke through. I don't want it to run down the wall on the inside. So let me get this situated inside the wall, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I've cut this little piece, and I'm leaving this little edge right here, this little hole, so I'll be able to stick my fingers in there to work it from the other side, because this is going to go on the inside of the hole, and I'll be able to get my finger around to press it into place. So hold on whilst I get this positioned. Okay, so I got this situated. Now this needs to dry again for about 90 minutes. So let me see what else I can do outside. I'll be back. Well, the other thing I thought I could do today is start a batch of just loose compost tea for the trees. So I went out and I cut a bunch of leaves off my comfrey plants, the ones that were already starting to turn a little bit yellow, and then there were a bunch that had been damaged by the hail. So put that in this bucket, and then the soil that you see in here is actually from my worm composting bin. And to that, I am going to add some unsulfured original grandma's molasses. And then I'm going to go out there and get some of that beautiful rainwater we just got and make a bucket of compost tea for the trees. And yeah, so now back to sheetrocking. Okay, just let this cook out here. I put 4 gallons of rainwater in here and we'll just let it cook. Okay, this seems to have oh no! Well, that did not work. So, dang. All right, on to a second attempt. But this is good. I'm glad to show you this. But anyway, the part that I mashed in here, that seems really good and solid. So perhaps I don't need that thing. Maybe it's just a matter of getting this thing positioned back in here and not worry about having something behind it. All right, let me go mix up some more compound. Okay, so I got the big piece in. I put a smaller piece here, and what that is some of the stuff that I had cut off the back. I'm going to take this last section that I have and fit it into that shape there, and then put more compound on top of it. But I can't hold the filming device and also do this work, so I'm going to, that's the plan, is to take that small piece, fit it into this section, and then put the compound over it. So hold on just a minute. Okay, that looks better than I thought after that screening part fell in. Now I'm going to put the finer mesh over top of this. So hold on whilst I cut that and I'll show you. Okay, I guess you can see the shadow of this thing more than you can see the thing itself. All right, paste it right on there. And then I'm going to put some more compound over top of it. But this, I was hoping for the metal to be behind it because that would have given it sufficiently much better strength. But this will have to do because I couldn't get the other one to stick. All right, I'm gonna put you on hold here while I get my trowel filled with compound. Okay, so now I'm using my wider spatula to just smooth over top of this. Now this is still slightly hollow compared to the wall, which is, as I said at the beginning, that's what I wanted because I want to be able to put a decorative surface over top of this, and if this is too thick, then the decorative surface is going to be sticking up beyond. The cat's in here. I'm moving the door. This is going to be sticking up beyond the level of the rest of the wall's texture. So this will be drying overnight at least, and today is kind of damp because we did have some rain last night and today, which obviously you saw the rest of the video. It's ideal for doing some stuff outside with the plants. So yeah. Well, so what could go wrong went wrong. Y'all got to see that, but it's not the end of the world. And I think the thinner mesh on the outside will also provide strength for this. And we'll know more tomorrow after this dries and I do a little bit of sanding. So I'll see you in the morning. Hey, good morning. It's solid. I believe it's gonna hold. I'm gonna do a little bit of sanding around where I had patched those nail holes I showed y'all, and also this area up here because it's a little bit rough. And then I'll be able to mix up the compound yet again and do the texturing. And if that turns out well, then I've got that hole I mentioned in another room that was repaired by my landlord's guys. We'll get after that one, but I probably won't film that But anyway, here we go with sanding. So these are the 3M sanding blocks. And what's nice is they're like spongy, so you can really get into surfaces however you need to clean stuff up. Anyway, all right, so I have done the sanding. Let me show you what's next. After applying a light coat of thicker sheetrock compound to the wall, I've just mixed up this very loose compound that I can fling onto the wall with the paintbrush, and I've done that, and hopefully you can see it's applied some texture to this in an attempt to duplicate what was on the wall originally, which was sprayed on. I don't have spray equipment, so this is the closest I can come, and I believe once this is dry and painted, it's going to blend in nicely. I'm pleased with how this repair came out, and I think my landlord will be happy with it too. So this is the repair that the landlord's guys did in one of the other rooms, and you can see my little picture hanger. I just couldn't stand looking at this thing, so I hung a picture up over here. But I'm gonna see if I can fix this by removing this lump in the middle and then doing the same thing on this wall that I just showed you in the other room. We'll see, hold on. Okay, I've smoothed out the lump. I've just applied the wet base, and I'm gonna fling it on with the paintbrush, show you in a moment. Okay, there we go, I've splattered it. I think it'll blend in fairly good with the existing texture that's on the wall once it gets painted. And I'm not complaining. I mean, if there's a problem, find a solution and leave it better than you found it. That's my goal. All right, see you in the next video. Till then. I was hoping maybe with the sheen of the wet paint you could kind of see the texture, because the light in this room is not ideal for showing you what I'm doing. But the main thing is that the wall surface is not sticking out. The repair is not sticking out from the wall. And I'll show you the other one that I painted. And here's the other repair that I fixed. So the wall surface, it blends in, it's not sticking out. The texture is a little closer to what was sprayed onto the wall when they first did this place. And even though I'll hang my painting back up over top of this, it's just nice to know it's fixed. All right, no idea when the next video will be. Thanks for joining me in this one, and hope it was helpful. Much love.